Hello wine friends, my name is Sam Dishup, Somalia the Wine Box, and today we are excited to be bringing this small series about demystifying wine labels and factors affecting price and quality in wine to help you be a better shopper when you visit our shop or any wine shop out there. Here we have two wines from the same winery, Hesketh Wines, and they're both Chardonnays, and they're both more or less from the same, they're actually from the same country, just different parts of South Australia. Now, but if you look at them, there's a price difference of about 500 shillings. So you'll ask yourself, why should I buy this Chardonnay and not the other? Now, there are certain things that come into play when we are talking about the quality and the price of wine, because of course quality and price are interrelated. The first thing is where it comes from, and in wine terms we call that terroir. Terroir is the natural phenomena involved in production of wine. So this is all about the land, the soil, the climate, the weather, the amount of sunshine, the amount of nutrients in the soil, and so on and so forth. Now with this you will realize that different parts or different plots of land and different locations will have different characteristics and weather, climate, different soils, and so on and so forth. For example, this particular Chardonnay comes from limestone coast. As the name tells us, it is mostly the soils there are mostly limestone, and it's also at the coast, so much nearer. You get a bit more influence of the cool ocean currents and so on, whereas this other one is from Adelaide Hills, so you're getting slope, much steeper slope, and you're getting a bit more cooler air coming on this side. Now again, remember, different years, different climatic conditions. So maybe this year it was a bit warmer, less rainfall. The other one you had a bit more, it was a bit cooler and less sunlight. So what happens is the amount of sun affects the amount of the ripening in the grape. So the more sugar you get in the grape, the more alcohol you produce, the less tannins, and vice versa. You have a bit cooler climate, you get a bit more acidity in there, less alcohol, and so on and so forth. So that is how terroir comes into play. When we get to the labels, we talk about the vintage, the date written on the bottles. So this is basically varies from year to year. Some years are much warmer or much wetter than other years. Some years are affected by a bit more extreme weather, like frost we are having this year in France. So traditions are basically things that the winemaker and the viticulturist does. The viticulturist is the person who takes care of the vine in the farm, and the winemaker now takes the produce from the farm and works his magic in the winery. Some vineyards are located in slopes, so you'll find they cannot use mechanized labor, they cannot use machines and tractors, so they have to hire manual labor to do all the work, all the farm work that needs to be done, and all of this ends up being a cost in the wine. Now in terms of the winery, the winemaker first of all decides the style of wine to make. Like for example, he might be trying to make an everyday drinking wine, so he will not make it as complex or as complicated or as a wine that he's making to be a collector's item, because the processes for this, whereas they're almost similar, they have their own distinct differences. So like for example, you will find in everyday drinking wine they will use little or no oak, because they're looking for freshness, they're looking for acidity, and they're looking for vibrancy. Whereas in a wine that will be more of a premium wine collector's item, they will be producing it using some of the best the best grapes to start off with. They will undergo a longer maturation period, they will undergo some aging in barrel. Now when you take terroir and you take traditions and you put them together, you come up with something called an appellation. An appellation is a defined region or a demarcated region that has uniform terroir and has uniform traditions. Now, the traditions in the appellation level tend to become rules, or the rules defining that appellation. Like, for example, I'll give you the example of something like Rioja wine from Spain. For it to be Rioja, it has to come from the demarcated Rioja region. It has to be use a certain grape, which is Tempranillo. It has to be aged a certain period for you to call it Crianza, to call it Reserva and Grand Reserva. So in summary, factors that will affect the quality and price in wine, one of them is terroir, the place where the wine is from. Two is winemaking traditions, so this is what happens in the farm and in the winery. And number three is a combination of the first two, which is appellation, which is a defined set of defined region with a set of rules governing the production and labeling and marketing of that particular wine.